Do you remember where you were 10 years ago today? Today is August 9th, 2024. And a lot of people are reminiscing about how the events that took place in my city. And when I say my city, I don't just mean St. Louis. I spent 10 years of my childhood in Ferguson. I don't like telling people that I grew up in Ferguson because they either think I'm lying for clout or they ask me a million questions. But yes, I did grow up right up the street from January Wabash Park, Little Caesars that was burned down, all that. Of course, this was roughly 8 or 9 years before the Ferguson uprising. But I mean, I was a kid, so I remember Ferguson as a sleepy, lower middle class, working class suburb. Of course, everybody knew that you didn't speed on 70. You didn't speed through any of the municipalities because you would get in trouble and you would get a ticket that would indenture you for the rest of your life. But yeah, so that's my own personal experience. But 10 years ago, Ferguson became known to the world because of what happened after Pig Darren Wilson murdered an unarmed 18-year-old black man, black youth, really. And the trigger really was decades of bullshit and the fact that they left Michael Brown's body in the middle of the street, the hot fucking street, for hours. So they basically left this kid in the middle of the street like an animal, and that pissed a lot of people off, and history was made. I don't oppose riots. I do not oppose uprisings. I do not oppose revolutions. These are the motors, the locomotives of history. Granted, yes, as a Maoist, as a communist, I believe that revolution should be disciplined and organized. But at the same time, burning a city or two down every year is how my people got our rights. So, what is the Ferguson spirit and why is the Ferguson spirit immortal? Let's start with Cori Bush. As you all know, if you follow politics, she was unfortunately defeated due to the influence of millions of dollars of Zionist AIPAC money, which meddled in our election. Basically, they bought Wesley Bell a congressional seat and took it away from Cori Bush. Cori Bush exemplifies the spirit of Ferguson. Why? Let's listen to this.
Pulling me away from my position as Congresswoman. All you did was take some of the strings off. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Let's be clear.
Cori said that by taking away her congressional seat, Wesley Bell and AIPAC basically took the strings off. What does this mean? It means that this is not about a single fucking congressional seat, okay? Ferguson went to Congress. Ferguson and its spirit of rebellion and refusal to capitulate went to Congress. So by taking away Cori Bush's Senate seat, they basically loosed the change from her. Because when you're a congressperson, you can't say certain things and you cannot do certain things. Cori Bush is now free to say and do these things now that Wesley Bell and AIPAC have relieved her of her congressional seat. And Wesley Bell is so fucking greedy and crooked and corrupt, he may not serve out his full term. He may end up being the black Democrat version of George Santos. Because he already has fucking ethics scandals out the ass. And Cori Bush was at Ferguson. Cori Bush caught the tear gas. Cori Bush was in the shit, right? She offered her training as a nurse, as a street medic. So she was out there helping the people. Wesley Bell was out there handing out college applications. He's on some respectability politics bullshit. So both individuals, Wesley Bell and Cori Bush, owe their position to the prestige, in Wesley Bell's case, lying about the prestige that he obtained during the Ferguson uprising. But both of them owe their positions to the fact that thousands of youth came to my city and tore shit up. Except Cori Bush was actually there Wesley Bell was not. Oh, what's this? Good morning, BRG. Went to my first DSA meeting yesterday because of you. Awkward as fuck, but nice bunch of hard workers. Shout out East Bay DSA, Oakland, Hayward, Richmond. Very good. Hope you have a very long-lived and fulfilling DSA, I wanted to say career, but DSA term. My personal position on DSA is that it's dope. Of course, I have experienced quite a bit of racist bullshit. Probably the most racist bullshit that I've experienced in my 10 years of being political, but that's what happens when you join an org full of white folks. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty based.
Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Let's talk about what it really is. Because see, now I don't have to worry about some strings that I have attached, and as much as I love my job. But all they did was radicalize me, and so now they need to be afraid.
You have a sitting United States congressperson talking about being radicalized. That is the Ferguson spirit. So when we talk about Ferguson, we have to talk about it as a radicalizing experience, okay? Any communist under the age of 40 owes a lot to Ferguson, okay? Any communist under the age of 40 owes a lot to Ferguson. Because, yeah, we had Occupy, but many of us went around for Occupy. I was still in high school, okay? Ferguson was my freshman year of college. Occupy Slew, I was at the clock tower every fucking day. I didn't help storm the campus, but I was there every fucking day. So this was our politicizing experience. You have the Zoomers, they're being politicized. Well, they have been politicized through the George Floyd uprising, the encampments, the solidarity actions with Palestine. And not just that, but you also have the repression, okay? Because sleeping in a tent really isn't enough to radicalize you. But when the cops come and beat your ass and you're in direct contradiction, you are in direct opposition to your university's administration, when you're losing friends and your family won't talk to you because of this shit, that's radicalizing. That's radicalizing. The DSA meeting was the whitest place you've been in Oakland. It was cool, though. The other minorities came straight to me after the meeting was done and were very welcoming. Okay, that's good. Very good. That's what I encourage non-white comrades in DSA to do. Like, if you see a Latino or a Black or an Asian comrade hanging around, like, not feeling welcome, yeah, we're in a room full of white folks, some of us for the first time in our lives. So, yeah, it's not fun being a minority. So that's why us minorities have to stick and bind together, even if we disagree. Back to Cori.
See, now they about to see this other Cori, this other side. Because let me say this. I just grew up a whole lot more over the last few weeks. Just grew up a whole different way. And so what they are about to get, they think. So the thing is this. The thing is this. I don't think that anything, there is nothing that happens in my life that happens in vain. So if this happened, it's because it was meant to happen. And let me say, it's because of the work that I need to do. And let me say this. AIPAC, I'm coming to tear your kingdom down.
So you can just look at her and tell that she's done coming out to play. And fuck Kamala Harris, because this is an actual working class Black woman. When a working class Black woman talks to you like this, she means exactly what she's going to say. I will give Kamala Harris her blackness, okay? She is half Jamaican after all. Quite a few people have been arguing stupidly on Twitter that, oh, she's all Indian. I'm like, first of all, who gives a fuck? I don't care if she's Indian, black, Chinese, white, whatever. Politics in command. Like, why are you also in this fucking race bag? Yes, African Americans do have a special experience that was forged in the cotton fields of Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, the Carolinas, Florida, what have you, okay? Yes. Shit, thanks to the fact that the settlers could not stay the fuck out of the slave cabins, we technically comprise a whole new ethnicity. Like, we're not Igbo, we're not Yoruba, we're not Bakongo, we're not Fulani, we're not Hausa, we're not any of this anymore. So, yeah, a lot of people simply identify as Black American. Granted, I prefer to chop the American part off, but I was born and raised in the United States, as were generations of my ancestors going back to time immemorial. But anyways, none of that shit matters. Why do people even care if she is Jamaican or Indian, whatever? Because there's a group of people in the United States. They call themselves foundational Black Americans. Some of them call themselves ADOS, American descendants of slaves. Honestly, the more I see of these people on Twitter and whatnot, the more I think that they're an op. But they are, like, these people basically perform phrenology. Like, I posted my Ancestry.com result. No, 23andMe. Basically a DNA test. Okay, it's pop bullshit. A lot of people don't take it seriously. But I posted it. It basically said that I'm like 53% Nigerian. Okay? I'm Black American as fuck. Like, there are no immigrants in my family. All of my family that I know of was born and raised here in the United States. These people started calling me a Nigerian anchor baby. They call my mother a foo-foo writer. That's how delusional these people are. So that's why they care whether she's Jamaican or Indian, because these people are obsessed with fucking who your ancestors fuck. I don't give a fuck, okay? But a lot of people do. That's why they care whether or not Kamala Harris is Jamaican or Indian. I find it hilarious that these types of people, they reject Kamala Harris. I mean, if you reject Kamala Harris, it should be because of her politics, not because of your disgusting conception of her race. But they claim Nicki Minaj. Like, they literally have the same ancestry, half Black, half Indian. Nicki Minaj is what you call a Dougla. Like, if you go to Trinidad, there's a shitload of Black people who have Indian ancestry, East Indian ancestry. But I don't fucking get it. I don't have time to argue about shit like that. People are dying. So this defiance sums up the Ferguson spirit, okay? That's why I say Ferguson went to Congress. Now let's listen to this Uncle Tom. Let's listen to this Uncle Tom. Wesley Bell.
Words from St. Louis County prosecuting attorney Wesley Bell last weekend before being elected as the Democratic nomination in the primary for Congress in District 1. He joins us this morning to share what's next heading in.
So compare this crowd to Cori Bush's crowd. Compare this almost all white crowd to the people behind Cori Bush. That's how you can tell. Okay, St. Louis is a half Black city. Okay, St. Louis is a half Black city. So in a half Black city, you are a Black candidate, but you cannot get Black people to come to your victory rally. That's a sign that you're full of shit.
Into November. Good morning and congratulations.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you here this morning, man.
Hey, yeah.
It's been a long last little bit for you, but when we caught up you at the rally last weekend, how are you feeling? You said you were feeling good. How are you feeling this morning?
Listen, I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
When are you tired? You haven't done any actual work. You've probably never worked a day in your life. So I talked about this guy's history the night before Cori's unfortunate defeat. And the interesting thing is that she did not lose by a huge margin. This was the second most expensive congressional primary in United States history, not in Missouri history, United States history, all of it. The second most expensive. And Cori still lost by a single-digit margin. She did not lose. She did not, like, Wesley Bell did not have a blowout. People are acting like, oh, yeah, St. Louis rejects Cori Bush. No. So why did Cori Bush lose in the first place? Well, for one, you can't really argue and door knock your way out of millions and millions and millions of dollars. Okay. Second of all, there was a split in the Black community. You had all these Uncle Tom preachers like Daryl Gray. You had a lot of ignorant ass men Kevin Samuels listeners who did not like the fact that a very strong and outspoken black woman was in a position of power over them. So these types of people voted for Wesley Bell just because they wanted a man in Congress. Yes, it's misogynistic as fuck. That is a problem in the black community. You also had a shitload of white people who boosted their turnout and went out to vote for Wesley Bell because they simply do not like Cori. Okay, like Cori Bush had went through some of the most racist bullshit that I've ever seen. AIPAC literally distorted, like they basically took a picture of her and distorted it to make her look evil, to make her look somewhat primitive, make her look somewhat simian, like an ape. Like that's the type of shit these people do. And Wesley Bell is a sellout. I call him an Uncle Tom because how the fuck are you going to let a black woman be treated like this? You're a black man yourself. That's why he's a sellout. That's why he's Uncle Tom. That's why he's not like us. Because there's no way in the world that any black man with any self-respect would allow a sister to be treated this way and not say anything. And then he lied to Cori Bush. He assured Cori Bush that he was not going to take her seat. He came and took her seat anyways and accepted AIPAC bribes to do so. That's why he's not like us. That's why he's a sellout. That's why his term in Congress is going to be belabored by scandal and disaster, and he's not going to do anything for the people of St. Louis. So all of those people that went out and voted for them are going to be sadly disappointed. Well, the white people are, because they're not going to reap the bitter rewards of electing this idiot to Congress. But all of the black morons that went out and voted for him, they're going to pay because their communities are going to be neglected just like they were under Lacey Clay, and they're going to suffer. So there's going to be another progressive congressperson from St. Louis. Who knows? It might even be me. They're not going to elect the fucking Twitch streamer to Congress. Well, they did elect fucking George Santos, so who knows?
Not much in the way of sleep, but I'm feeling great, and I'm feeling great because I know so many people, volunteers, staffers, family, friends,
people you paid. Like this guy, nobody organically went out and volunteered for Wesley Bell. He's not all that exciting for one. Like, what is exciting about this guy? BRG first gamer president. I think that might end up being JD Vance. But like, just listen to this man talk. He's a fucking county prosecutor, for fuck's sake. Who would go out and be like, you know what? I really like Wesley Bell's policies. I really like what he's doing. I'm going to go out in the blistering sun and knock doors for this guy. People like Cori because she is confrontational. She actually puts her body on the line. She has actual Ferguson experience. This guy does not. Every election in St. Louis comes back to the legacy of Ferguson, especially in North County. Wesley Bell is definitely from Lafayette Square. You sound like you're one of the people that came here to knock doors. They sent you to Lafayette Square. I'm sorry. Beautiful houses, though. But yeah, fuck that up on time. Let's talk more about Ferguson. So NPR came out here and did some interviews. Let's listen.
Missouri has been bringing you stories from a city you might not have even heard of 10 years ago. Ferguson, a suburb about 20 minutes north of St. Louis. Our final story begins with a fire.
On fire.
I'm sorry, NPR drone. I have to show this. This is the best. Like, why do you think that this makes her look bad? Why do you think that this makes her look bad? You're basically calling her a martyr. Yes, she is a martyr to AIPAC money. Honestly, I would love to see Cori Bush with the kafia and a rifle. Will we? Who knows? Because they definitely pissed her off by taking her seat away. And like she said, the chains are loose to now. Honestly, they should have left the quick trip as it was. They should have left it as a memorial. They should have left it as a tribute to the rebellion. They should have left it as a statement of what happens when you fuck with the people of St. Louis. They should have left it as it was. They built some type of shiny fucking urban league center on top of it. I've been there. I don't like it. So if you know anything about the Urban League is not a radical organization. It's not a revolutionary organization. It's actually a fundamentally conservative organization. It was basically funded by semi-eugenicists back in the early 1900s to, I guess you could say, elevate Black migrants from the South to the standards of their brothers or sisters who had lived in the North for a long time. Like throughout history, there's been like this contradiction between Black people who were free before the Emancipation Proclamation and people who were after. So a lot of the Black upper class, like the historical Black upper class, was descended from people who were free before emancipation. Meantime, people like myself, people whose ancestors were freed, well, I might have some old freemen in my family, but most of my ancestors were freed by the Emancipation Proclamation. And my ancestors that were from Texas, they weren't freed until Juneteenth. So basically the lower class, this descended from the majority, the masses of people, the field Negroes that Malcolm X would talk about. And the Black upper class is historically descended from the people who were free before emancipation. And these are the people who founded the Urban League. So it's a very bourgeois organization. They do semi-decent community work, but they're not radicals, they're not revolutionaries. They're even to the right of the NAACP, and that's saying something. A lot of people who come to St. Louis are always shocked by the accents that they hear. Like somebody told me that I have a Southern accent. I don't think I do, but I mean, St. Louis is a culturally Southern city, and a lot of the Black people here are first and second generation migrants from Mississippi and Alabama and Tennessee and Arkansas and other such places. So I don't know. Maybe I do have a Southern drawl. Do you seriously believe that tens of thousands of people? First of all, why are you exaggerating? Tens of thousands of people are not fleeing DSA, are doing so because they're seeking political career. You're obsessed with the smallest activist core and ignoring the masses. Okay, every vanguard party in history grew out of a small activist core. Okay, tens of thousands of people are not fleeing DSA. Tens of thousands of people are in DSA. You might have a few hundred people who are leaving DSA. But yes, if you leave DSA and go join the Democrats, you were probably a Democrat in the first place and you joined DSA for opportunist reasons, mainly to help the Democrats. This is the type of shit that drives people out of DSA. So you have the national DSA account glazing up Tim Walz, tear gas Tim, as comrades from Minneapolis call him. And they basically try to take credit for the fact that Kamala Harris chose Tim Walz as a running mate. Okay, like first of all, DSA people need to break this obsession with Kamala Harris, Tim Walz. Like, how many times do Palestinians, how many times do Black people have to tell you to do better? Like, you all keep ignoring us to your peril. Like this shit. This is from a Latino comrade who I've worked with. He says he was interested in getting involved with my local DSA chapter, but it's very disheartening seeing statements like these with the context of Cori's defeat by AIPAC. I'll probably end up coming to a few meetings to see what the folks are like, but not much. You're not expecting much given that whiteness seems endemic to DSA. Whiteness is endemic to DSA. Like, it's essential that we drive this whole white chauvinist spirit. Like, I had a dude, he since apologized, but he sent me a message yesterday saying that he thinks I'm a poser and a tourist. And I have no business trying to run for co-chair of SDLDSA. First of all, what the fuck do you know about me? And then second of all, who the fuck are you? Like, how is this an acceptable way to talk to your comrade? I wouldn't talk to you like that. He admits that he was drunk and he didn't feel very good, but still, like, this shit grates on people. Like, do you really think that average, ordinary, everyday black people are going to go through shit like this, dealing with these micro and in most cases macro aggressions? Absolutely not. That is antithetical to the Ferguson spirit. Nobody has to go through that. That's why DSA is being boycotted, because people talk like that to Palestinian solidarity activists and within our lifetime in the Palestinian youth movement and in Students for Justice in Palestine. And now that you need these people because Palestine is a hot button issue, now that you need these people, they don't want to fuck with you because of shit that you did back in 2021. That's why you have to center the analysis and experience of people who have actually gone through some things. DSA seems to be dominated by, at least at not leadership levels, but like the spirit of this organization seems to be white, downwardly mobile, petty bourgeois people. Okay? Those people don't make revolutions. Those people, they fake being revolutionary until they get what they want. And then when they get what they want, they throw everybody else in the lurch. That's what happens. Bolsheviks were a small group despite their name. That is true. But they were the majority of the old RSDLP. That's why they call themselves that. Let's see what else happened. Oh, they're using a backwards version of the mass lie. Wesley Bell was on CNN. Let's see what he has to say. Let's see what lies he tells.
Second most expensive primary in American history. And the wind in Bell's sails was really an $8 million infusion into the race from AIPAC, which is American.
Even CNN is saying that this dude would not have won if it wasn't for AIPAC. Like, Wesley Bell could not have won on his own merit. Okay? Ferguson loves Cori Bush. They sure as fuck don't love prosecutors. Working class black North County fucks with Cori Bush. The city definitely fucked with Cori Bush. Cori Bush actually won the city. Well, they're not going to go out and vote for this dude of their own free will. White people decided this race. Why? Just like white people fuck everything up in general.
America's largest pro-Israel lobby. That's the same group.
And the thing that gets me is, like, imagine if this was a pro-PRC group. Imagine if this was a pro-Russia lobbying group. Okay, look at what they've done to Amalia Yeshitela. Look at what they've done to Gazi Kozo, who I despise. Like, they basically brought up all these people on charges of treason and espionage and all other sorts of bullshit like that. Look at that. But AIPAC is allowed to literally purchase congressional seats. Second most expensive is insane. It shows the importance of Bush in her position. Yeah. Like, what they do is they target weak seats. They basically did the same thing to Jamal Bowman, who I'm no big fan of. But they basically did the same thing to him. They redistricted him. They redistricted him out of his district. They added a bunch of conservative white people in Westchester County to his district. And that's why George Latimer won. And then AIPAC flew in and gave George Latimer a bunch of money. Like, these people are slick, okay? These people have nothing better to do than hang out with lobbyists, hang out with Congress people, and get their way. Should the left do that? Who knows? Who's going to fund us? And yeah, the Uhuru raids were insane. I'm not a fan of Uhuru by any means, not by any stretch of the imagination. And Uhuru solidarity movement is actually like the white wing. The party, the party is the African People's Socialist Party. That's who they raided. They basically broke into dudes. This is an old ass man. They threw flashbangs and all sorts of other shit. It was nuts. And yeah, like I said, I'm not a fan of Uhuru or the APSP. I think that they're cults, but nobody should be treated like that. Never mind an elderly man. So yeah, that was fucked up.
Group that helped secure the defeat of another squad member back in June, Congressman Jamal Bowman. During her concession speech last night, Bush railed against outside spending and directly went after AIPAC.
AIPAC, I'm coming to tear your kingdom down. Because
That's an old black spiritual, by the way. I imagine many of these people are panicking, thinking that they're going to have to deal with armed Hamas Cori Bush coming to fuck up their offices or something. No, that's an old black spiritual. She's basically, Cori Bush is a pastor, okay? A lot was made of the fact that she apparently practiced faith healing at one time or another. And like this just shows why, like, this is why Sonia Massey was killed. She told the cop that she rebukes him in the name of Jesus, and the cop thought that he was lied and claimed that she was about to throw boiling water on him. Okay, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus is like she said it in a sarcastic way. So Cori Bush is basically making a play on the title of an old black spiritual that's called Satan, I'm going to tear your kingdom down. It was in Lovecraft Country, if you liked that show. I'm mad that they canceled it. People were calling her anti-Semitic. Well, people call anybody. People will call a ham sandwich anti-Semitic because it's not kosher. Please don't cancel me for that joke.
I don't have to worry about some strings that I have attached, and as much as I love my job, but all they did was radicalize me, and so now they need to be afraid.
And Wesley Bell is joining us now.
Why didn't they invite Cori Bush on? Why didn't they invite Cori Bush on? Like, there was a senator in Missouri, Claire McCaskill, who lost her seat years ago. She still has a seat on MSNBC. Like, she's on MSNBC every time I turn it on almost, and she's talking about like how to win elections. Like, what the fuck do you know about winning elections? You're not in the Senate anymore. Like, most of these people keep these jobs for the duration of their lives. Ted Kennedy was a senator until his fucking brain was eaten up by a tumor, and here you are, like, you're still here talking shit. Yeah, Claire McCaskill. I was a kid when she got elected. I think she got elected in 2006. But like, you're already treating this guy like he's the sitting congressman. Like, Cori Bush is still the sitting congresswoman from Mo 1. So why are you parading this guy around? This just shows like the media colludes with these lobbying organizations and with these reactionaries like Wesley Bell. That's another lesson that Ferguson taught you. Never ever trust mainstream press. That's why we call our local paper the St. Louis Post-Disgrace, because they lied about the protesters. They lied about everything that was happening. So this shows the importance of establishing people's media organs like Breakthrough News, like streamers. Like, you make fun of us, but live streamers played an integral role in getting out news about Ferguson. Like, if you want to know where the fucking action is tonight, go on Wheels' fucking stream. Heather, I'm sorry. The cops call it Wheels. But anyways, so build a people's media. Otherwise, this is what you're going to get.
Mr. Bell, thank you for joining us after your big night. I should mention you are favored for the general election. And of note in this race, the issues really didn't come down to Gaza, Israel, but the money sure did. Progressives, of course, usually eschew that kind of outside.
I actually had like an argument with like a lot of black people over this. Like, they're like, oh, she's so worried about Israel and Palestine. Like, it's a fucking genocide. If our people were being wiped out, which they are, wouldn't you want people across the world to give a shit about us? Like, people across the world gave a shit about Angela Davis. They gave a shit about the political prisoners of the Black Panther Party. They gave a shit about Martin Luther King's civil rights movement. But now that we've gotten some semblance of rights, you're going to deny other people the same consideration. That's what white people did. Okay? Like, quit seeking whiteness. Quit seeking proximity to whiteness. Quit trying to do like the Irish and Italians were. I imagine many of their descendants regret it now. Okay? Like, quit trying to do that. Well, why are you allowing yourself to be weaponized? Like, you're allowing yourself to be weaponized against the Latinos. You're allowing yourself to be weaponized against the Arabs. Like, do you really think this empire is dying? Do you really think that it has treats to give your black ass? It doesn't. It doesn't. This empire is desperate. That's why it's trying to integrate us into it. But you're too stupid to see that. All you see is a little trick-or-treats. And when the trick-or-treats run out, you're going to be in trouble. You're not going to have any allies because you burned bridges with people that can help you. We don't need allies like fucking Kamala Harris. We don't need allies like Joe Biden. We need allies like the Houthis. We need allies like Ansar Allah. We need allies like Hamas and Hezbollah. Those people will go to bat for you. Those people will help you out and fuck up your enemies. What has Joe Biden done for black people? What has Kamala Harris done for black people besides throw us in jail? Think critically instead of being, as Malcolm X would say, a political chump.
Money. So, as a self-described progressive, how are you reflecting on your win, considering that?
Well, first of all, I want to thank all of the supporters and staffers and just so many folks that got us through the finish line. But this,
you should thank AIPAC. They're the only reason you won. AIPAC and the stupid motherfuckers that went out and voted for you.
This race on the ground wasn't about who was funding who and negative ads. This race was about the issue.
So she lost by 6 points. 6 points after all that money spent. She lost by 6 points. Damn, they wanted a double-digit blowout and they got 6 points.
Issues that matter to the folks right here in this district. And I sat.
There are Palestinians in this district. There are Bosnians in this district. Like this guy the other day, I believe in this same fucking segment, compared Israel to Bosnia. If you know anything about Bosnians, like your district has the largest number of Bosnians anywhere outside of Bosnia. You know the two things, that Bosnians are Muslim and Bosnians, like all Muslims, are extremely pro-Palestine. So why the fuck would you make this comparison? You don't know anything about the district that you're trying to represent. You are just bought and paid for. That's what you are. You're pathetic. And the White House is also pathetic because they denounced Cori for her inflammatory words to AIPAC. What inflammatory words? They took her seat away. She has the right to be pissed at the people that took her seat away. Even white people don't get treats from this empire anymore. And here you are. Like, and she doesn't even go, like, you all are acting like this lady got up in Congress and said, long live Hamas. Long live the martyr Israel Hania. She doesn't do that. And you have this Aunt Jemima ass Haitian motherfucker, Karine Jean-Pierre, who's saying that the president condemns this kind of divisive and inflammatory rhetoric. Sis, let this old ass white dude speak for himself. Let him speak for himself. Why are you? Come on. Look, the president has always been very clear and very clear recently after the assassination attempt of the last president about lowering rhetoric, right? Lowering political rhetoric and the importance of doing it. Don't vote for these fucking people. Do not vote for these fucking people. Like, what do they have to offer you? Nothing. Zero, zilch, nada. As a World War II general said, nuts. He has nothing for you. This is what they want. They want you to enslave yourself to them. No, I'm not talking about Jews. I'm talking about settlers, white people in general. Before you all come on here and call me a fucking anti-Semite. This is what is going on. So you have a prosecutor in Israel who's trying to do his job. He's investigating Israeli soldiers allegedly raping Palestinians to death, sodomizing Palestinians with foreign objects. And you actually have, this makes Jim Crow Alabama look progressive. This is the same shit they used to do for us. This is the same shit they used to do to us. They used to throw us in jail and they used to sodomize us with shit. Women and men. Men especially because they wanted to emasculate us. Anyways, so people talk a lot about the comparisons between Ferguson and Palestine. Like, they're not the same, though. Nothing is the same as anything. But the solidarity, the real solidarity between Ferguson and Gaza in the West Bank, like you literally had people in Ramallah, in Gaza, in Khan Yunis, in Bethlehem, in Al-Quds, Jerusalem, holding protests in solidarity with us in St. Louis. These people did not know, well, they may have known what St. Louis is. They might have family here. Okay? The Palestinian community is very small and very close-knit in the United States. Well, not very small. Well, relatively small. Small compared to black people. You know what the fuck I mean. But they knew instinctively that these were people that they need to be in solidarity with. The Palestinian people offer us a lesson in international solidarity that these ADOS and FBA dickheads don't realize. Like, what have Palestinians ever done for black people? First of all, people that have a common enemy with you do not have to do anything for you. These people are broke. They don't have shit. They ain't got no oil. Ain't no oil in the West Bank. I think there is oil in Gaza. There's resources, but they have less than we have. These people live in tents. They've lived in tents, refugee camps for generations. These people are basically, in short, worse off than we are. And all you can think about is what they did. What do you want them to do for you? What do you want these broke people to do for you? What do you want these people who have nothing but rifles and rocks and homemade fireworks as rockets to do for you? What do you want them to do for you, huh? Do you want them to be like, oh, Habibi, it's going to be good. It's going to be okay. Like, bro, you are a grown man. You're an adult. You claim to be political. You know you have the same enemy, okay? These Israeli cops are dressed exactly the same as American cops. These Israeli cops come to the United States to be trained, and our cops go over there to be trained, and you still don't get it. And then you wonder why we're still oppressed. You wonder why Massa ain't gave you no reparations off his sagging table. Because you're a political punk, you're a political chump. You go out there and vote for Wesley Bell because you don't want a fucking black woman in Congress because she hurts your ego. Read Huey. He says something about people. So these people are literally protesting in favor of soldiers that have been raping people to death. Okay, look up the Abner Louima case. Look up the Abner Louima case. Look up what they did to him. It's disgusting. It's barbaric. They basically threw this guy into the bathroom at a precinct in New York City and sodomized him with the plunger handle until his anus ruptured. Yeah. God, that is annoying. Do Israelis just do they have... Oh, I forgot to share this tab. But do they have a mission in life to just be as irritating as possible? Even if they weren't committing a genocide, these are just the most... these are just the most irritating fucking people. Why would you do this? I learned something new today. I learned that the West Bank has oil. It's interesting. I knew that there's natural gas off the coast of Gaza, but yeah. You guys know that if you win the Olympics in certain Asian countries, you get shit? There are Olympic medalists in the United States who have been homeless. But here you are. In Hong Kong and Singapore, you get a shitload of money. If you win a gold medal in Hong Kong, you get almost $1 million. In Singapore, you get $745,000. Yeah. In the Philippines, they give you $100,000 in cash. You also get a house and lot. You get a 2-bedroom condominium. You get around $18,000 worth of furniture. You get a lifetime supply of cookies and a free meal for life. In Iraq and Austria, you get land and real estate. Malaysia, if you get any medal, you get cars. Indonesia's badminton gold medalist received 5 cows and a meatball restaurant. Ooh. In South Korea, you have mandatory military service, but if you get a medal, you get an exemption. You also get $43,288 if you win gold. And you have the option of taking a lump sum of 67.5 million Korean won or a lifelong monthly pension of 1 million won. So in the United States, you come back and you don't get health care. Today is also the 79th anniversary of the Nagasaki bombing. That's why every country in the world needs to have nuclear weapons. Because if we die, we all gonna die. If somebody die, we all gonna die. When New Africa is independent, I am a firm supporter of us developing a nuclear weapons program called Last Nerve. Don't be like this. This is antithetical to the Ferguson spirit. Like, what do you get by? Why do you get from being evil like this? Like, why are people so fucking evil? Why are people so fucking mean spirited? Why are people so rude? Like, you're supposed to be some type of radical. This person isn't a communist, obviously, but you're supposed to be some type of radical. You're supposed to be some type of person that you, Willy Wonka. You're supposed to be some type of like decent person that wants a more just world. And this is how you talk to other oppressed people. This is why people don't take the left. And yeah, I realize I'm engaging in like a stretch by calling this person left, but like this is why people don't take the left seriously. This is international solidarity. On August 8th, 1897, Michele Angiolillo, an Italian anarchist, assassinated the repressive Spanish Prime Minister Antonio Cánovas del Castillo in revenge for the torture and execution of anarchists and Filipino rebel Jose Rizal. That's international solidarity. I just love how this dude's like, oh, the consequences of my own actions. Hey. Also, if you're ever in St. Louis, go to Chuck-a-Burger. My brother actually turned me on to them. No, they haven't paid me anything for this. This is like a restaurant that does advertisements, but it's a local institution. They have a bunch of classic cars in the back. It's an old-fashioned car hop diner. Like when my brother told me about it, I was like, okay, this place is going to be fucking racist. I'm going to have to go off on somebody, but people are actually very nice, and they brought a very tasty hamburger to the window. So you're at the 1969 SDS convention. Which faction are you backing? You've got RIM 1, Weatherman. You've got RIM 2, Maoist. You've got the Progressive Labor Party, which thankfully only 9.2% of people backed. And 41.8% decided to go and get stoned and ignore factional politics. 20% for the Weatherman. That's surprising. Do I think that there are any decent white people? Of course. You've got Tom Paine, got John Brown, got Marilyn Buck, and you've got David Gilbert. There are even more. You got Channing Goodman and Schwerner. You've got the True Levelers from the UK. You've got everybody that was ever involved in any form with the IRA. You've got the anti-colonial South Africans who took up arms with the Nkoto Nsizwe, the armed wing of the ANC. There's decent white people, but the main thing is that they were maligned by their own people. Like, you cannot be a decent white person and be popular. Well, I guess you could be Eugene Debs, but like, if you align yourself with the masses of the world, also Rachel Corrie and Aaron Bushnell, how the fuck did I forget them? And the Chartists. You chose Weathermen because even though they were essentially adventurous, I just didn't know either other faction except for getting high. And that is how you end up in a townhouse that explodes because your colleagues don't know what the fuck they're doing. So back to Ferguson. What impact did it have on BRG? Well, BRG would not be a thing if it wasn't for Ferguson. Because like I made connections, I made ties that some of which ended up being my bitter enemies. Some of my friends that I made during that time in 2014, they ended up becoming enemies of mine. They ended up becoming Gonzaloites. They ended up becoming all sorts of other weird people. But a lot of them, like, are friends I want to keep for the rest of my life because we went through the shit together. Okay? Thankfully, I avoided most of the tear gas because that shit traumatizes people for life. But Occupy SLU. Like, I still have friends from college because of Occupy SLU. I still have friends because of Ferguson October. Like, I literally walked off my job. I wasn't fired, but I literally walked off my job because I met some kids from Philly that were sleeping upstairs in the church that I worked at. So I literally walked off my job in the Ferguson October. So it played an immense role. Like, I would not be here talking to you if it wasn't for Ferguson. And I'm really proud of the fact that the city that I grew up in offered this type of resistance. And I'm really glad that people from all over the world know that Ferguson exists. Because, like, when I was growing up there, yes, we knew that the cops were bad. You should stay away from them. But if you had asked me in 2012 that a riot was going to flare up in Ferguson, I would have been like, what the fuck are you talking about? Ferguson? Maybe the city, maybe the north side, but Ferguson? Are you fucking serious? So this just shows that revolutions, rebellions, uprisings always happen in the oddest and strangest places. And honestly, it's our job to stop a system which kills black people and forces these things to happen. That's why we have to be in solidarity with the Palestinian people, because they were in solidarity with us. A lot of black people learned about the struggle of the Palestinian people for the very first time because of what happened in Ferguson and because of their response to what happened to us in Ferguson. Yes, Logan Mansion Games, you do need to find some friends. You need to find some friends. Nobody should be alone in this world. It's places like Ferguson that give me revolutionary optimism. But yes, Logan Mansion Games, you do need to hop out of my chat and go find yourself some friends. Friends are nice. Friends are good. But yeah, so Ferguson, Minneapolis, Baltimore after Freddie Gray, like these places are where the revolution is going to come from. Working class black people, working class white people, working class people in general, rising up and saying enough of this shit. This is where the revolutionary vanguard is going to come from. Everybody's always talking about, well, we're the vanguard. No. Writing a fucking newsletter does not make you a vanguard. It makes you a very good writer of a newsletter. It makes you a waster of paper. That's what it makes you. Quit being a waster of paper. Learn from the people of Ferguson. Learn from the people of Palestine. Learn from the people of the Congo. Learn from the people of Sudan. Learn from what's happening in the UK right now. You've got bands of working class Roma, working class black, working class Irish, British, whatever, people, working class people coming out and running the EDL off the streets. That's what's happening. That's where the revolution is going to come from. Rest in power, Mike Brown. All power to the people. And avenge our martyrs.